So welcome to another episode of Bhagavatam Bites, and we are back at the Matchless Gifts, 26 2nd Avenue with Srila Prabhupada here, and reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 48.
49.
Oh, you got 49?
I don't got it, that's the one we're reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya. What happened?
I don't know.
Third one always octane goes up then down.
Octane is what's in gas.
That's it.
So there's no octane in chanting.
Oh, I see.
Singing.
Text
It's called
49.
an octave.
That most obedient wife thus fell down at the feet of her dead husband and began to cry pitifully in that solitary forest. Thus the tears rolled down from her eyes. Purport. Just as a devoted wife becomes afflicted at the passing away of her husband, when the spiritual master passes away, the disciple becomes similarly bereaved. So that's a very good way of understanding how attached we should be to the spiritual master. Just as in, I don't know if they have the same thing in America, but in England there's a very famous slogan of saying that a dog is not just for Christmas. Before anyone quotes me and makes memes and whatnot out of this, I am not saying the spiritual master is a dog. But my point is, a spiritual master is not just for initiation. There is life beyond initiation and the spiritual master, believe it or not.
Chance you could put that maybe a little closer.
So the point I'm making is it's very important to develop a relationship with the spiritual master that goes beyond the externals.
Any chance you could put it any closer?
Wow, really feeling heard. Okay.
It's just because it's quite low on the thing. So
All right, over to you.
that's much better.
Stop now.
Okay, yes, we're looking for obedient wives to fall down at the lotus feet of their husbands, whether dead or alive, and cry pitifully. Text 50. She then prepared a blazing fire with firewood and placed the dead body of her husband upon it. When this was finished, she lamented severely and prepared herself to perish in the fire with her husband. Purport. It is the long-standing tradition of the Vedic system that a faithful wife dies along with her husband. This is called sahamarana. 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 In India, the system was prevalent even to the date of British occupation. At that time, however, a wife who did not wish to die with her husband was sometimes forced to do so by her relatives. Formerly, that was not the case. The wife used to enter the fire voluntarily. The British government stopped this practice, considering it inhuman. However, from the early history of India, we find that when Maharaj Pandu died, he was survived by two wives, Madri and Kunti. The question was whether both should die or one should die. After the death of Maharaj Pandu, his wives settled that one should remain and the other should go. Madri would perish with her husband in the fire, and Kunti would remain to take charge of the 5 Pandava children. Even as late as 1936, we saw a devoted wife voluntarily enter the fire of her husband. So, the name Sahamarana, I hadn't heard that name before. Didn't remember it from reading previously. Often it's called Sati, and that's based on, as far as I'm aware, when Sati burst herself into flames. Whereas the wife enters. Now, I guess the deeper understanding, in one sense, from a kind of Western culture or Western anti-culture, then we may be thinking, that sounds barbaric. Why would a woman enter the fire? You know, the man's dead. She doesn't need to die. And these days, you know, after your partner or spouse dies, then People get remarried once, twice, thrice. They go on to have kids. They go on to do so many things, at least in the Western culture, but also probably in India now. But previously it was like, we're together until death us do part. But then the understanding was that, I can't live on without my husband or without my wife. But I guess it's probably not the same. It's not that if the woman died, the man would enter the fire, right?
No, they don't. Most probably get remarried.
That interesting point for discussion. So, but the point would be that, that the woman would enter and then she would be delivered also. And the husband, also his job was to conduct himself and his life in such a way that he could deliver them both. And I guess the point being that by her entering into the fire with him, then that would establish and or prevent her from possibly doing anything that might lead her off the path that supposedly the husband was delivering her from. So, which would mean that by entering the fire, then they both get delivered. And as my wife often reminds me, we're going to be together in the spiritual world too. So it means in the afterlife, we get to be together again.
It's interesting though that Prabhupada says, even as late as 1936, he saw a devoted wife voluntarily enter the fire of her husband. And so maybe physically the wife doesn't undergo these things. Although I reckon there are some dark areas where women maybe, there's always some weird stuff going on where you don't know of. So my point is, it's outlawed now, women don't do that, like that. But I'll be honest, from what I've seen growing up, is that your life, I'm talking about Indian woman, is as good as finished and over as soon as the husband's dead. And you might as well walk in the fire, although I don't recommend it, and why should you? But it's like, you're definitely not expected to get married, or to have a companion, whatever. For a certain generation, definitely expected to wear white or at least pale colours. How dare you maybe cut your hair or dress? I mean, I remember going back, I was brought up in London, but still aunties that were there. One uncle passed away, and she had two young, my two cousins were very young, and it was very sudden heart attack. And it was treated as her life was over in a sense. Husband's gone, the father of the children was. But I remember she refused to be that type of a widow. And she, to this day, is very decent. She looks after herself is what I'm saying. She was very fashionable, as it were. She would wear clothes with colour. And it was initially like, oh, did you see that auntie? Like, it was looked upon like that. How dare you have a life? So you may not physically walk into the fire and it's gone, but you are considered as good as dead as a widow, which is interesting. And on the other side, definitely one of, a person that I'm aware of in my family, as it were, and his wife passed away. And then he ended up marrying again, and I remember, again, saying to my dad, like, what, so-and-so, uncle, got married again, in India as well. And he's like, yeah, because of the kids. And I was like, huh? But why did he have to get a wife that was at least 30 odd years younger than him? It's like, whatever. But, so it's interesting, it's a different set of rules, and it's allowed, because why not? He's a man, he needs someone who has to cook, and if there's kids, of course you have to look after the kids. And it's completely cool. And it's, so it's interesting, the
dynamic.
Yeah.
But we have to remember we're often measuring or valuing or weighing up against what we see as the moral codes or the progressive codes of conduct from basically Western culture.
Yeah, all right, final paragraph. This indicates that a devotee's wife must be prepared to act in such a way. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Similarly, a devoted disciple of the spiritual master would rather die with the spiritual master than fail to execute the spiritual master's mission. As the Spirit Supreme Personality of Godhead comes down upon this earth to re-establish the principles of religion, so his representative, the spiritual master, also comes to re-establish religious principles. It is the duty of the disciples to take charge of the mission of the spiritual master and execute it properly. Otherwise, the disciples should decide to die along with the spiritual master. In other words, to execute the will of the spiritual master, the disciple should be prepared to lay down his life and abandon all personal considerations. Oh my Lord! Whoa. Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, we can definitely say that sitting here in 26 Second Avenue is ironic because Prabhupada definitely, one could say, laid down his life. His life was definitely laid down even coming here on the Jaladutas of a certain man of a certain age and this and that. And it's not like Krishna, we could have, but he didn't arrange for him to come on a P&O ferry or something, you know. Those of you in England would know. He didn't do that, and it's like, jeez, you know. Couldn't make a better passage for him and then abandon all personal considerations. Definitely, for those of you who have ever been to the Lower East Side, Barry or whatever, oh my God, just nowadays the apartments make me, it's like living in a nightmare. It's like walking in a, oh my God, like your darkest fears and everything. So I can't even imagine what those apartments were like when Prabhupada was there, and he stayed like that for 1 year. So he definitely laid down his life and abandoned all personal considerations.
I mean, he left India. He was living in Radha Damodar temple.
God.
It wasn't like he was living in a palace. There, I mean, it's Krishna's palace because it's Radha Damodar temple and it's super special. But it's but yeah.
No, you can't compare the Radha Damodar place where he was staying to round there. No way.
So you'd stay in his place in Radha Damodar?
Okay, I have to be careful what I say because don't be arranging all these things, Krishna, because we don't need to be going to India and staying in places like that. But from the spiritual point of view, he was.
From the spiritual perspective,
he
made what?
In life.
He made it, yes, okay. Okay.
Anyway, the fact is, we're sitting here in this place. Obviously, ironically now, yeah, we worship every single floorboard and original door and doorknob and all that. But it wasn't like that back then, and it wasn't. Yeah, the point is, yeah, Prabhupada really, again, as we did in a previous reading, it's just. He personifies these purports, if you ask me, truly.
Well, from the perspective of being the disciple.
Faithful disciple.
Faithful disciple. Yeah.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so
That's
let's
it.
conclude there.
Let's conclude.
We have to open the shop front up now.
We're in Matchless Gifts, so today, our service weekly, we open the doors to Matchless Gifts, so
it's open.
So very fortunate.
So pilgrims can come. So please come visit us.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Jai.